All right. Y'all ready for some Course of Love?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I need it. I need it today. So we left off at chapter 24 in the Course of Love. And we started out with chapter 24, which is the time of tenderness. And we went through the first paragraph of that, I know for sure, but I'm just going to read through it again. Try to use this reading, this very beginning, as an opportunity for all of us to listen to it and kind of allow ourselves to get tuned in, because it's like the end of the day. And the ego is kind of frantic at the end of the day. I don't know about yours, but it is.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes it difficult to focus in. So let's just take a breath right quick. And then remind yourself why you came. Like, ask, what is my purpose? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Why am I here? What's my purpose? So if you got it, we're on page 213. And the first paragraph says, where you learn to hurt, where you learn to hate, 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 you will learn to love. Where you learn to fear, you will learn safety. Where you learn to fear, you will learn safety. I will learn safety in the place that I learned to be afraid. I'm going to learn safety in the place I learned to be afraid. Where you learn to distrust, you will learn trust. Where you learn to distrust, you will learn trust. And each learning experience will be a learning experience because it will touch your heart. It may be as simple as a smile from a child that melts away all the resentment you held from your childhood because you allow that smile to touch your heart. It may be a time of weepiness in which you would term emotionalism. You may feel as if everything makes you want to cry because everything will touch you. You may feel as if everything makes you want to cry because everything will touch you. You may feel as if everything makes you want to cry because everything will touch you. Each lesson will feel tender. Unlearning has no harshness about it. Unlearning has no harshness about it. If you simply allow unlearning to come, unlearning will reward you constantly with what can best be described as tenderness. The more you do this, the tender everything should become. The more you do this, you should be experiencing more tenderness. If you're doing it right, you should be experiencing more tenderness. If you're doing it right, you should be experiencing more gentleness. If I'm doing it right, I should be experiencing more tenderness. If we're doing it right, we should be experiencing more tenderness. It's an unlearning. If you're unlearning, you should be experiencing more tenderness. The lessons should be coming to you in a lot more gentler ways. The lessons should be coming to you in a more gentler way. If you're really unlearning, Raj, if you're really unlearning, the lessons should be getting easier, not harder. The Course in Miracles says the hardest part is the beginning. So if it seems really, really hard, what does it mean? You're just at the beginning. And some of us might have been at the beginning for years. If it seems like it's been hard for years, it just means I'm at the beginning. It means I'm still in control. And it said last week that to be in control means what? I'm going to use my old belief system. I'm still using my old belief system. If it looks like it's still tough, you're still using your old belief system. If it seems like it's still challenging, don't fool yourself. You're still using your old belief system. If you're still afraid, you're still using your old belief system. No matter what you're telling yourself, you're doing what? Still using your old belief system. So are there some areas of your life that you're using your new belief system? Are there some areas of your life that you're using your new belief system?
Yes, sure.
Are there some areas of your life that seem like the lessons are more tender? Are there some areas of your life that it seems like they're still challenging? So which area are you still in control of? Which one are you still in control of?
Challenging.
The challenging one. So in the challenging one, I'm still using my old belief system, which means I still think I am in control. Any thoughts about that?
It's a hard one.
How is it hard?
Yeah.
I know it is, but how is it hard? to you?
I've been taught that to be in control is what I'm really supposed to do as a man. I'm supposed to control my outcome, my family, control my job, my situations, take control, take the bull by the horns. And this is telling me the exact opposite. So
if you think about it,
so my head tells me that I'm being selfish and self-centered when I just let it go and not take control.
Okay, thank you.
Try to run it.
And I'd like you to give some thought to that statement, that advice, take the bull by the horns. Doesn't sound very smart.
No, well, for sure.
Right. But we hear stuff like that. Take the bull by the horns. That's like the stupidest thing you could possibly do would be to grab a bull by its horns. But we hear stuff like that. I'm glad that I'm getting a chance to know when I'm really still in control, and what I'm doing when I think I'm in control is I'm still using my old belief system. So the gift to me out of that was for me to understand that the truth hasn't failed me. I'm just not using it.
Yeah.
So sometimes, it's all about thinking that, it's like I used to think I could really apply the truth and it not work. Or like I really believed this, but it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And the breakthrough didn't come until I realized if it isn't happening, I'm not using it. Period. I might be planning to, I might be thinking about it, but there's no way I'm actually applying the truth and still afraid. My ego says, beat yourself up about that. Because that's the solution to everything. Beat yourself up about that. You ought to know better, you ought to be doing it. But then that would still be using what? The old belief system. So even if you're punishing yourself, that's still you trying to be in charge. That's still me not letting go of control. Punishing yourself is you not letting go of control. Still trying to be in control because you believe you deserve to suffer. That's still trying to be in control. What y'all think about that?
I notice that when I try to let go of control, my ego screams louder a lot of the time. Like it does.
When you try to let go of control, it screams louder.
It says, if you don't get back in control, you're gonna die! Like that.
Oh, okay. That's the way it sounds?
That's exactly what it says.
Your ego sounds cute. You got a cute sounding ego. That's the most deadly kind. The cute one.
It's deadly.
Yeah, I know. Okay, then what you could tell yourself is the way to be in control, to my ego, the way to be in control would be for me to use the new belief system. I want to be in control. My right mind says, okay, if you really want to be in control, you with a capital Y, if you really want to be in control, it says, do what I say. Practice the truth. If you really want to be in control. So that got rid of my resistance to letting go of my control. But at the same time, I was finally doing it the way it should be done, which is to tell myself stuff like, where I learned hate, I'm going to learn to love. Where I've learned distrust, I'm going to learn trust. That if every opportunity, everything that happens to me is an opportunity for an unlearning. That's being in control. Being in control is for me to say, if I'm really doing this right, I should be experiencing a time of tenderness. The time to resist tenderness is over. The time to resist tenderness is over. The time to resist the tears of weariness is over. This is the time of the embrace. This is the time for us to start embracing the tender way, embracing the easy way, embracing the loving way, embracing the yard man that's buzzing around the window. Embrace him.
Yeah,
Send him love. Just surround him. He's myself out there. He's part of myself. Love you, brother. You're just not acting out my script. All of my upset always comes from my script not being acted out. I was telling somebody today that my fondest desire is to free everybody I know from my imagined needs. The needs I make up that I think they need to meet for me to be happy. So every time I'm getting upset, I say, ooh, that feels like an imagined need. Ooh, feels like an imagined need. That's what I'm upset about. I got this imagined need that I need to have met by something outside of myself. And it's not happening. Ooh, I'm not happy. Ooh, I'm upset. How many of you have ever said if you just had more money, you'd be happy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How many of you have ever said if you had the perfect relationship, you'd be happy? Look around.
Oh, yeah.
How many people have said if you had the perfect career thing you would do, you'd be happy? And how many of you have said if your body was a little bit more together in some way? How many of you said if you had somebody else's body, you'd be happy? Okay. Never worked, did it?
Never worked.
No.
Not once did it work permanently. And remember, from a truth perspective, unless it lasts, it was never real. Unless it's permanent, it's not real. So I definitely had some experiences where it looked like I had those feelings temporarily of satisfaction. But nothing I've ever experienced in the body has ever passed the test of truth. It's never been permanent, unending, and constantly expanding. It's always been there, not there. There, not there. There, not there. Not there, not there, not there. There, not there. So I had to admit to myself that I hadn't been allowing the tenderness to come in. I still was trying to be in control of my relationships. I was still trying to be in control of my financial situation. I was still trying to be in control of my career. I was trying to be in control of my body. I was still using my control. So what my mind does is it makes up a new fantasy, a new imagined need that it thinks it needs in order to be happy. It could be a trip. It could be a date. It could be a walk. It could be jogging. It could be playing music. It could be anything I come up with. It only has to just have one requirement. It's not available right this moment where I am. It's got to be something I've got to go out and get. All right. So that means I'm still in control because I'm still using the old belief system in order to be happy. So who could tell me what the old belief system is in their own words? Which means there is no wrong answer to that.
Everything based on fear.
What do you mean everything based on fear?
All my thinking, either there's not enough or I need to control it. So everything in my life, from my perspective, has been through fear's eyes, not through love's eyes, because love it isn't real.
Get up and go to work because I get up and go to work because I'm afraid if I don't, I won't have the money to pay my bills, and then I won't be able to eat, and I won't have food, and I won't have. See, I'm being really cool in this relationship because I'm afraid of losing them, and I'm afraid of being alone. I'm real stingy with my money because I think there's not enough, and I got to try to hang on to every little bit that I got. I got to get my body looking really good so that I can have proper bait. Bait. My body is my bait. Yeah. So it's just what you said. I'm looking at it through the eyes of fear. I'm being motivated by fear, not by love. So fear means I'm still in old belief system, still in control. So I could study all these books then, but if I'm still afraid, then have I really changed my mind? No. But what I do is have new information to beat myself up with because I haven't. This is something else I can add to the pile of stuff that I'm not doing. Now I'm not doing the course of love on top of everything else I need to do today. That's not tender.
I do that when I don't do my lessons in the morning. I beat myself up. So your day's all screwed up because you didn't start your lessons. I start my lesson as soon as I get to work. So if I don't do that, my morning starts to fall apart, and then I beat myself up because you caused it, dude. Why didn't you just do your freaking lesson and get it over with?
Yeah, isn't it great that you recognize you're doing it to yourself? That's the great breakthrough, brother. That's wonderful that you recognize you're beating yourself up.
I still do it.
That's okay. You stop. Because you know you're doing it now.
Right.
You know. Sometimes when you cut off the TV, it takes a few seconds for the image to leave the screen.
Residue.
Yeah, the residue. You're dealing with the residue of your fear. You're dealing with your fear residue. All right? Besides, you got gorgeous legs and shorts. You'll be okay. All right. That's right. That's right. I see outstanding legs all around me. Just outstanding body parts.
Juicy legs.
Juicy legs.
Juicy.
Yeah. So, these feelings of tenderness can be seen as a sign. Let the feelings of tenderness alert you that unlearning is taking place. Ooh, I feel really tender. I feel really cool right now. Unlearning must be happening. I must be achieving my goal. My lessons are coming more gently. It said, let the tenderness be an alert. Beep, beep, beep. You know, oh, it's coming to me easier now. I'm recognizing, okay, I'm learning my lessons without beating myself up as much as I used to. I'm really learning now. I did something that I used to do that I would beat myself up about, and I didn't. I'm really unlearning now. I went off today and cussed everybody out. And I'm not beating myself up about it. I'm recognizing it was a mistake. It was my call for love. Unlearning is happening because I'm more gentle about that error now. See, the unlearning is coming from your being tender with yourself, not necessarily about your behavior. That you necessarily didn't get upset today. Did you not get upset about getting upset today? Now you're unlearning. No, it says, welcome the time of tenderness as harbingers of this good news. Know that the time of tenderness is a sure path on the way home. The time of tenderness precedes the time of peace and is the forerunner of compassion. Okay, so let me get this straight. You go from tenderness to peace to compassion. I go from tenderness to peace to compassion. Tenderness, peace, compassion. Tenderness, peace, compassion. So after you feel peace, you move on to compassion. In other words, you have compassion for the people who are still using the old belief system. You have peace, and then you have compassion about what everyone else is going through, but you don't join them in their suffering.
What about for yourself, though? Because when I think about tenderness for myself when I make a mistake, is it okay to have compassion, or is that just self-pity?
Compassion for your self-pity is unlearning.
Okay.
So have compassion for your self-pity.
Okay.
And show a little leg. Now, there you go. See, everything's been solved.
Yeah.
Thank you for not being so damn serious. I tell you, serious truth is the deadliest kind. Being serious about this is the most deadly thing you can do. Being sincere about it is great. Being serious about it is not unlearning. That's how we learned in the past. It's to get all serious about it. So I would like all of you to give serious consideration to no longer being serious truth students. Please. So what do we have? Tenderness, then peace, then compassion. Okay, so the time of tenderness is thus defining learning ground before accomplishment is complete. The learning that occurs during the time of tenderness is learning from love. No lessons learned without love touch your heart. So, any lesson, would you say then that any lesson that a person has that doesn't touch their heart means that they haven't learned it. That's what it said. The learning that occurs during the time of, it said, no lesson learned without love touches your heart. So if you, let's say I'm learning a lesson, but I'm learning it in fear, I'm learning it in guilt, I'm learning it because I'm putting myself down, I'm learning it out of desperation. Would that be a learning that's touching my heart?
No.
Okay, so that means I'm not learning a lesson that love is giving me. I'm learning a lesson my ego is teaching. So if I'm learning a lesson that my fear is teaching, it doesn't touch my heart. If I'm learning a lesson that the truth is teaching me, it touches my heart. And so I was checking out how many things I'm learning right now are touching my heart, or how many things I'm learning right now are just touching my fear. Good question.
Oh, I wanted to share a little story. Is that okay? So, I like this guy, and my friend swooped in and grabbed him. And
She swooped in?
well,
Like you were standing up there and she went.
kind of swooped in.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I mean, it's kind of a long story, but you don't want to hear the whole story.
No, not real
And
long.
she was like, oh, you know, he wants to take me out. Are you sure you're not going to be mad at me? And my reaction was, God's saving me from something bad. Like, I couldn't even believe it.
Did you actually say that?
I actually said that, and I actually truly believed it, and it actually touched my heart. Like, God's got me. It wasn't right, you know? And I even said to her, maybe God put me in this situation for you two to come together.
Beautiful.
Good.
That was a tender lesson.
Can you believe that that's where my brain went?
Yeah, I can believe it.
I'd be like,
In spite of your best efforts, you went to sanity.
I know. And I believed that for like days, like the next day too, and the next day and the next day. I still
Thank you for
believe that.
sharing that. That's a perfect example of what we're talking about. You went from tenderness to peace about it to having compassion for her as well as yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I said,
beautiful.
go for it. Maybe I was a tool of God.
That is the absolute truth, is that what's for you will be there. You know, and maybe it was about her meeting this person. I mean, your perception was correct because your perception it kept you in peace.
Yeah.
And so that's how you can tell a correct perception over incorrect perception. An incorrect perception, you don't feel peace. A correct perception, you go, well, maybe that's for my own best interest. That's what I was hearing. Maybe it's for my own best interest that this didn't happen.
Totally.
Beautiful.
It's just so shocking.
Beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
never happened to me before.
I know. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a true unlearning.
Yeah.
And you took advantage of an unlearning opportunity. Let's acknowledge ourselves for doing that. That's okay. That's okay.
Because it got a little bit more
That's okay.
dramatic.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
But the first
The course says, appreciate your good efforts.
Yeah.
Okay? Appreciate your good efforts. You know. It just means that something better is coming to you. Did you know that? It just means something better is coming to you. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody juicier and cuter.
That's right. Juicier
Like
and
her.
cute. Like her. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, but I hope your friend
Platonically.
don't swoop down and grab her.
Yeah.
Platonically. Yeah.
Just kidding. Shut up.
We said platonic for the benefit of the video.
Yes. Not that there's anything wrong with any other.
I know. I understand. Just having compassion. I'm gonna tell you something. There's no such thing as love for one sex. There is no such thing as love for one sex, for the opposite sex. It's no such thing as not being able to love your own sex. We're talking about love.
Right.
We're not talking about specialness. We're talking about love. To say I couldn't experience love with another being in a male body is to say I couldn't love my own representative self. That's stupid. You know, love has nothing to do with sex. Love has nothing to do with the body. But the body can be used as a way for love to be expressed, and sex can be used as a way for love to come through. But it doesn't need either one of those to be love. Everybody okay with me on that? Yeah. So a surefire sign of unconsciousness is the idea that you can't love someone that's the same sex as you. It means you completely think you're a body, and you're in the old belief system. And so you're going to feel guilty if you feel any kind of love for anybody that's the same sex. It's a great way to, like as you wake up more, it's so easy to tell what parts of you are asleep and what parts of you are awake. It's the easiest thing in the world. If you're talking to a person and the center of their concept of themselves is that they're a separate body, they're asleep. If you're talking to somebody and the center of their concept of themselves is that they are being, expressing through a body, they're awakening. So an awake being is saying, I'm a being expressing through a male body. A sleep being goes, I'm a man. And I'm a man trying to be spiritual. There's a difference between being a man with a man trying to be spiritual and a woman trying to be spiritual, and to be with a spiritual being expressing through a male form and being with a spiritual being expressing through a female form. You can tell the difference because the one that's a being expressing through a male or female body, they can give freedom because they know they're not their gender-based identity. Somebody that still think they're a body, then they're still doing it the way the world told them to do it, but they're just trying to do it in a more peaceful way. I'm trying to do everything the world has taught me. I'm just trying to have more peace doing it while I'm still asleep. Not sinful, not guilty, not bad, just asleep. And if I'm asleep, I have a much better chance of walking off that porch and hurting myself than if I'm awake walking off the porch. So if you're a person that is always something happening to you unexpectedly that's keeping you upset, you're sleepwalking and walking into things. What are the things you're walking into? The results of your own thoughts that you don't know you have. Everybody with me on that? Does that make sense? Yeah. So we got to have new definitions of what awake and what asleep means now. In the new thought system, being awake means you recognize your oneness. Being asleep means you think you're a separate body.
That's kind of deep. So because I realize I do the gender thing, but not in the way that you're talking about, like, and it's embarrassing and it feels so primitive and uneducated and bad. But I can find myself jumping to that conclusion.
What conclusion?
Okay, for example, someone almost swerved me off the road today. It happened to be a man. And so I found myself immediately going, stupid man, or, and getting angry
Your
with
ego
all men.
Your ego sounds like Debbie's. Both of y'all got some cute sounding egos. Bad man. I love it.
But, I get it, that's so just like discriminatory and gender bad, not, So, but there are little spirits up there and we can come down and pick our body. And so my little spirit could just as easily go into his body.
It did.
When did that happen?
While you were at the traffic light. No, it's just here, but there's just one looking like the many. There's just one self. And then there's a lesson, of course, that I'm just one self. There's just one self. One of the easiest ways to see that I discovered is that we're all breathing the same thing right now. And if somebody cut it off, as I think we are right now, we would all kill over on the floor probably. Yeah. Right? So it means that even though our bodies are separate, we're living off the same life force. So it must be the one thing that's the life. You know what I'm saying? Like the life must be the thing we're taking in, is what I'm saying, and not our bodies. Because you take breath away, and our bodies fall on the floor dead. So the life is not the body. It's life that's enlivening our bodies. And there's just one life.
And everybody else is just a personality of ourselves.
They're just another aspect. The Course says everybody is carrying around your thoughts that you are in denial about.
Okay.
And then it looks like it's their thought, but it's really your thought that you're in denial about.
So silly.
Okay. So then if all of our little spirits were in this room together and they were not in a physical body, then my first question is, how would we recognize one another? And my second question is that what we should be doing anyway?
Well, the first thing that I would say is that anything that we focus in on that we can't prove is a delaying maneuver to keep us from focusing on the fact that right now we are having an unlearning opportunity.
Okay.
And that if you were compassionate toward yourself for the way you reacted to the man that swerved in front of you, then you would be having a time of tenderness. In other words, the Course says what you want to always do, and that's not avoiding your question, but it's saying what you want to always do is always bring it back around to what is it that you just heard that you know you can apply without having to wonder about theoretical issues. See, what we are outside of the body is a theoretical issue. It's not really anything I can prove. But me having compassion for myself for getting upset is something I can do right now. So the truth is saying to practice the truth, you always do what you can do in the body right now that you know you can see a result from. And then it says it's a trick whenever you focus on the things you can't prove, like reincarnation or life after death, or if we're all one spirit, or if we're all spiritual. You see what I'm saying? It's like those are things we can talk about, but nobody can prove. But I can have compassion for you if you get upset. I can give myself a tender. I can go, I'm not going to use my old belief system on the person that swerved in front of me. So what I'm going to say is that guy swerving in front of me is a call for love. And if I get angry about it, I can say, my getting angry about it is my call for love. That's a practical application of the truth. And that's what you want to do. The Course says what you want to always do is always bring it back to what idea that you just hear that you can actually apply, not theoretically, but actually do. And that all the theoretical stuff is just a trick to keep us from applying the truth. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, it's so simple. Why
Yeah.
is it so hard?
Because whenever it becomes hard, because whenever you become afraid of the goal, complications occur.
Yeah.
The Course says, how do you know? Why is it hard to earn money? Well, you become afraid of having it. There's something about having financial abundance that's frightening to you. And that's why all of the obstacles to having it has come up. There is some fear there about it. And it sounds too simple, but that's what you should say. You should say, it's not because there are not enough manufacturing jobs. There's not enough money because I'm afraid of it. There's something about it I'm afraid of. And so what I need to do is let go of my fear by being compassionate and knowing I'm sustained by the love of God. Because it's not happening because I'm still in control, which means I'm still using the old belief system in my financial situation. What's the old belief system in my financial situation? That I got to get it by manipulating something outside of myself in order to have it. It's the old belief system. So I'm still in control because I'm still thinking I got to do it on my own. I'm still in control of my special love relationships because I think I got to make them happen on my own. If I can just remember that much out of everything I've heard out of this little section, just that part of you still think you're in control, be compassionate for yourself like you were with your friend, be compassionate about like the person swerving in front of you, and ask yourself this: have I ever done something while I was driving?
No.
Thank you. I'm glad you haven't. Yeah. Because usually, if you'll be honest, the thing that you're getting upset with somebody about is something you've done yourself in some form or another at another time. It just is. You know, you're upset with somebody about being late. Have you never been late? And if you say no, nobody believes you. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like if somebody's walking here, they would say, "I love everybody. I care about everybody as much as we can."
Right.
Wouldn't nobody in here believe them? They might believe it, but we wouldn't believe them.
Right.
You know why? Because we don't feel that way.
Right.
Yeah, it's not real till it's everywhere. See, that's what the Course says, which freaks the ego out, because the ego can't figure out how to have everybody loving everybody equally. That's right.
Yeah.
So the minute you hear some truth, your ego goes tilt, 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 because the truth will always be something your ego can't do. So when you say love one person, oh, I can do that. But if something says love everyone, like Anna and I were just doing a video and some more of the class of our study sessions, and we were saying stuff out of the section we were reading, like, you know, I love you so much, I promise you, I'm going to love everybody as much as I love you. And not more and not less. If you really love me, you'll make sure you love all the other parts of yourself as much as you do me. If you don't, I won't believe you really love me. And then, then we were saying to each other, like, she was saying back to me after a minute, she said, that is frying my ego alive. And then saying to me, she could just feel it, you know. If you really love me, you will never love me only. If you love me only, I don't believe you. See, that's the way a correct mind would talk. Because if a correct mind knows that it's one with everybody, not just that one person. The ego goes, well, what does that mean you're going to do with that person? What does that mean you're going to do with that person's body? Because the ego is always about fear and loss. Love has nothing to do with the body. So therefore, it's not threatening to love everyone, because the Course says to love somebody is to fully appreciate them. And who in their right mind wouldn't want to be fully appreciated by everybody? Yeah. And who in their right mind wouldn't want to fully appreciate everybody? Yeah. So when you say love means full appreciation, it will help you lose resistance to the idea of everybody being loved. Because to appreciate you, I don't have to do anything. But specialness is full of requests. So the idea of having lots of specialness makes everybody tired. Because it's hard enough to meet the imagined needs of one person, let alone saying I'm going to meet the imagined needs of 4 or 5 different people that I'm having special relationships with. It's insane. You can only love a lot of people if they're not demanding anything of you. And you're not demanding anything of them. Other than that, you're working hard, buddy. You know, it's enough sacrificing for one person. Sacrificing for 20 is ridiculous. So that's why love and sharing love doesn't make sense to the fearful mind. Because the fearful mind thinks there isn't enough love to go around already. And the energy you give to one person is energy that's being taken away from them.
Wow.
Because it's not enough, you know.
That's heavy.
So when you're with somebody else, that's time you could be with me. So they don't realize if they were really in love and really happy, then their life would be so full that if any given person wasn't there, they would have something loving still happening that was so satisfying. They wouldn't miss the person that wasn't there. Are you with me on that? Yeah. If you really got a loving life, it's so full that if someone was for any reason not available, you would miss them because of all the love that would be still available.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I think about, like, my dad died and I miss him. And
Okay. How does that not jive with what I'm saying?
Well, like, it sounds like I want to get to that point, and I kind of am with the living people. Like, you know, when I'm with people, I'm happy, and I'm not focused on who's not there or anything. But then
that's a good point.
But then I miss my dad.
And that's and if you were having a tender moment, you would have compassion for yourself for how you feel about missing your dad.
So it's not me thinking that there's not enough love.
No, that's just you wanting to continue to appreciate your father and want his presence physically with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is, because he's there.
Right. So how could that possibly be wrong?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, it is because he's always there. Why do I get weepy that he's not there in the physical form?
Because he's not there in the physical form.
Right. And it's okay to miss that and have compassion for it.
Right.
Okay.
That's how you know you're getting this is not that you won't have those feelings. It'll be you not beating yourself up about having those feelings and being tender. I'm gonna keep using that word tender.
Yeah.
Tender. Except I remember using that term as to denote pain. Like my and soul is real tender. So my ego is learning to associate sometimes tender with pain. So when I said tender, I notice there's a part of my mind that associates tender with weak or weakness or something that's not strong. And so that's the ego. Only the fearful part of my mind would see having a tender experience as being vulnerable in a way I could be hurt. Had a brilliant teacher tell me the other day that, one of the reasons why I might be holding a grievance about something is that it protects me from having to be vulnerable again, because if I hold the grievance, I never have to open up. And I was like,
Thanks a lot.
I had to have a moment of tenderness for myself because it was true. It was absolutely true. And when I admitted to myself that it was true, then the thing that I had the grievance about was healed within 48 hours, because I admitted that it was true. I didn't defend against it. I said, that's absolutely right. I am afraid of being hurt, so I am keeping the grievance going so I don't have to open up to this person so that I won't get hurt. So I actually was seeing the grievance as protection. And so when she said that to me, then I realized that I was doing it. And when I could own that I was doing it, then the block could be removed, because it couldn't be removed until I saw I was doing it to myself, but for my protection. Then I saw the grievance was something I wanted while I was pretending I didn't. The truth is I wanted the grievance. Like I want the lack, or I want the sickness, or I want the attack, or I want the separation. I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about how if there's a situation in your experience where it looks like a person wants to be separate from you, but you want to be with them, or you want to be connected to them, that's another defense against the truth. The truth is, whatever is happening is always what you both want to happen.
So there are these other lessons in the course are like flashlights for discovering your tenderness.
That's right. That's good.
Once again, over all these years, two of the lessons that we first got together over are, I'm not the victim of the world I see, okay? And I'm never upset for the reason I think. And those are flashlights around tenderness, what I'm learning tonight.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, it's like I like people to tell me what they're upset about, so that I can eliminate that as being the real thing they're upset about. So I'll say, what is it that you're upset about? Well, I'm upset because my mama said blah, blah, blah. Okay, we can safely set that aside. That's the thing you're willing to tell yourself you're upset about, because you're afraid to get in touch with the deeper reasons behind which you're upset. It's your safe reason, especially if it's a thing you've been using over and over again. If everybody got their thing. For some people it's relationships, for some things, people it's finances, for some people it's career, for some people, whatever they go, well, I got this horrible physical condition that I've been having a problem with for years. Okay, that's not what you're upset about. Especially if you've had it for years and years and years. That means you're seeing that sickness as some form of protection. It's a payoff in it that you don't want to give up yet. Whatever your long-term pattern is, ain't what you're upset about. It's the smoke screen behind what's really got you upset. And you know what the Course said it is? What's really got you upset is you're seeing something that's not there. You're seeing the past. You're worried about the future. You're looking at some learning you've gotten. And that's why you react. Because you learn to react that way if somebody swerved in front of your car. You learn to get upset if you like the guy, maybe your girlfriend was, got it. In other words, what you're upset about is not the fact that the girlfriend got the date. What you're upset about is because you learned to get upset about those things. That's why you're upset, because of your learning, not because of the situation. Had you learned something else like you did, and then you go, well, this is for my own best interest. You see what I mean? So the upset was just a learning, and so she learned a new learning. So she gave herself the time of tenderness. She was tender with herself. Now, What were you about to ask?
Well, it's just evolved so much in what you've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on the one hand, I was thinking then the Course would probably say, and it feels like I'm letting myself off the hook with this, but it would seem that the Course would say that in that moment, I should just say, you know, oops, I probably should not have flipped him off and been yelling in my car at no one. I've done this before in life, I'm sure. And then to have compassion for myself, and then to just go on my merry way and not analyze the whole gender thing.
Thank you.
See, okay, all right, well, and then my other thing that you were saying, and then now I really have a question because of what Bergen said, but I had an energy appointment after the swerving thing, and I was so pissed off, and then after a couple blocks, I started to cry. Then I got to my energy thing, blah, 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 all this different stuff happened, and I got to, I miss my grandma. So how in the world is swerving about the car and then evolving into like all this other stuff that I talked about and let go of in the beginning of this energy thing, and then I get to the, I miss my grandma, which I miss her like all the time, but how is it, why did I don't.
Well, it's the same. Remember, it's not about the story that you're telling yourself. It's about the time of tenderness, which means that you don't bring your old learning into the situation, which would be you taking control. So not bringing your old learning into the situation would be what? You're having compassion about all three stages that you went through, from the swooning guy to energy work to being with your grandma. You still did not stop having compassion for yourself and giving yourself peace. So the new learning would say all those things were the same thing. Your call for love. That was you wanting love. And it's another thing that came to me when you said that too was that when it says that you're never upset for the reason you think, and then you ended up with I miss my grandma.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So at another level, you went up. That was part. That feeling of loss was underneath all the stuff that was going on. So it never was about that.
Because you never upset for the reason you think.
No. I mean, why did that have to happen for me to realize that I was needing to deal with more grandma stuff?
Well, that was the way that you would get to the point you are right now, where you recognize the truth. Like everything you went through was brought you to the point you are at this moment where you're saying, "Oh, I'm getting it. I need to be more compassionate with myself." So it was perfectly orchestrated by your higher self to get you to the point that you'd be right now being tender with yourself. That's why it happened. Because that's what it took for you to get to the point that you're having this compassion for yourself right now. It's the perfect, your life is like your perfect ashram, you know. It's like, it's this perfect setup. So it's already happened. So just realize that you won. You got the lesson. You had an unlearning because you're being tender. Touch your heart. I miss my grandma. Touch your heart. Remember, they said if it's a real lesson, it's going to touch your heart. And your heart got touched. So you learned something.
Two quick questions. First of all, is there like a time in the year where like spirits that aren't with us on earth anymore are closer? Because everybody's going through this. Everybody in the last 3 days is going through loss, missing someone who's died. Like, are the spirits closer and we're feeling them or something? Is there any sort of phenomenon of that?
Well, the truth is you're experiencing that. And so that makes you more prone to see other people who seem like they're experiencing that. There are people who aren't. There are people who experience complete ecstasy and abundance beyond our wildest dreams. But whatever we're feeling, it becomes our filter through which we see the whole world. And so we notice other people who seem to be feeling the same thing, which is really beautiful because that's why we can know that we're never alone in anything that we're going through.
And then I have one more quick one. If you say love equals full appreciation, how can you fully appreciate people you don't really like? And I promise I'll try.
No. Okay. Now, you don't try to fully appreciate people you don't like. You fully appreciate people that you do like to the point that you just appreciate everybody. It's like you don't focus your attention on who you don't like. You focus your attention on who you already appreciate. And then everybody else you see as an unlearning opportunity to learn full appreciation. Now how can I appreciate you? Well, I can appreciate you when I don't like you by it's getting me in touch with something within myself that I need to take a look at. So you actually gave me a blessing because what I don't like about you is something that's going on in me that I need to take a look at. So now I'm thankful because of you, I realize there's something in me that I need to change my mind about. So now I do appreciate you because you helped me realize something that I didn't know at first. Just
I like
checking
that.
You see what I'm saying? I would advise you to stop trying to like people and stop trying to love people and stop trying to be nice. Your day will be so much easier. You'd be amazed at how much of a strain a day becomes when you're trying to like who you don't like. It'd just be easier just to say, you know, right now I just don't like them, and I'm making myself not like them, and I'm creating it where I'm not liking them, and I'd like another way to look at them, and I'm not speaking to them right now.
And I have compassion for myself.
And have
in that.
compassion, because now you're in integrity. Now you're in integrity because you're not faking it. You know, because believe it or not, those feelings that you're having are having, now listen to this now, having absolutely no effect on that person at all. They don't feel your anger, they don't feel your upset, they don't feel your pain, they don't feel anything you're going through about them. That's why the Course says a lesson in that it says you're supposed to think about who you don't like and who you're upset about, and you're supposed to say something like, this thought is an attack upon myself. And when I first saw that, I had so much resistance to that. I didn't want to say it, because then I realized I would be saying that all day long about most things. Because I'm always upset about something. So if I was to say, oh, I'm mad about this right now, I'm worried about this, and go, that thought is an attack upon myself. Now I'm judging myself about this right here. Well, that thought is an attack. I realized I'd be saying it all day long. And if you did, you stop. If you realize you were attacking yourself all day long by what you were thinking, and you really called it what it was, an attack upon yourself, your own common sense would stop you at some point from doing that to yourself. But the ego in us won't let us do that. It won't let us go. And me not liking myself or being worried all the time is me attacking myself all day. My jealousy is an attack upon myself. My being broke all the time is an attack upon myself. Not letting myself have affection and love is an attack upon myself.
How do we stop attacking ourselves?
When you hear that, as soon as you really, really hear it, you stop. In other words, how did you stop? Well, to me, that would be, I feel worried. I'm be compassionate for myself. This is an unlearning opportunity. This is a call for love. I'm feeling jealous. This is a call for peace. This is a call for God. This is a call for help. I'm mad at them. That's my call for help. See, that's the new thought system. So I'm no longer in control now. I'm no longer using my old belief system. So that's how you would stop. You would start reinterpreting it. You would stop going, this is an attack upon myself, and that's a call for love. This is an attack upon myself, and that's a call for help. This is an attack upon myself, and this is a request for God in this minute. See the difference?
And then we'd have nothing to talk about.
I'm feeling my feelings, but I'm calling them something that will bring just the opposite of what the feeling would normally bring. I feel jealous. That's my call to know that I'm safe in this love relationship, and I can't lose. I need to know that I don't really need this relationship in order to be happy.
You know, the appreciation part was easy for me as a guy in America, but the freedom part of love, remember we used to say that?
Oh, yeah.
Love is appreciation. And I started practicing, I leave you free to be yourself. Man, that was hard.
Yeah, because if a person's being themselves, they may not be meeting your imagined need. You got to understand that we make up needs, that we look at it as if it's our friends and our partner's responsibility to meet that need. And in most cases, they don't even know that we have the need that we're getting mad at them about, because we don't even talk about it really. So you have all these secret desires that you're not even telling the person, that you want them to meet, that you're upset with because they're not even meeting the need, and then you're resenting them, and they don't even know what's going on. And then the Course in Miracles says, that's not an act of love. What? That's not an act of love. To hold each and every one of you all responsible for making me happy is not an act of love. And I go, wow, you're not bad. You just calling for love. Be compassionate with yourself. You feel like there's something missing. Ask God for it, not that person. Whatever you think you need from another person is what you need to be asking God for. You want to know what you need to be praying for? It's anything you're looking for another person to do for you. You want good loving? Ask God to give it to you. You want a great prosperity situation? You ask the Creator. What would it take for you to have that? It's, then He might tell you to go talk to this person over here, or go over there, or go do this, or go do that. But your instructions come after you ask. What do you want me to do, God? Where do you want me to go, God? What do you want me to say? Who do you want me to say it to? Then Spirit might say, call Jeff. And ask for Jeff's perception of something that you're going through. There's something he has to tell you. Or maybe you get this hit, maybe you need to go down to this particular place and apply for a job. Or whatever the form means. But it comes after you put God first. We do it opposite. We do the best we can on our own. Get painted into a corner that's so horrible where we're going over the cliff, and as we go over the cliff, we do like everybody else. Help me, God! But up until that point, no God. It's been all me doing it all on my own. So I feel like it's like a muscle. Like, you know what I'm saying, that you build that when you need it, it's there because you've been working on it all the time. It ain't the same as I'm never focusing on God until the last minute, then I'm going to scream and expect help. Because God would help you in that moment. But the problem is, if you haven't built up that relationship with God, you won't believe it. So you won't let it happen, even in the last moment. Because you haven't built up your faith muscle. And so be tender, like Elvis. Love me tender, love me true.
Well, that's so funny, because when you were saying tender, it reminds you of like pain. Mm-hmm. When I hear tender, I think Barry White. That's the first thing that I think.
Well, call on Barry.
Now, does he sing a tender song, or am I just thinking of Elvis in Barry White's voice?
Yeah, whatever makes you, whatever form of tender makes you feel like you're being gentle with yourself, that's the one we want. So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's do the love offering. I appreciate y'all so much. That just goes to show you. How deep our programming is. To me, that's what it shows me. It's like the minute you hear class, learning. So now I go into church, learning. I go into the learning mode. But the course taught me, as long as I don't want to communicate, I don't want the problem solved. As long as I'm afraid to admit it, I'm not ready to look at it. And so the only thing that would happen if I admitted something I was afraid about to this group, for instance, the only thing that would happen is that you all would want me to feel peaceful and innocent and helped and loved. But see, I'll share what I'm afraid about with somebody who wouldn't see it that way, who would make it real, who would think that was the way it is, who would think it really is the economy, or really is thinking that there's not enough cool people out there that you can hook up with. It's like I'll share a lot of times with people who won't give me the new thought system, and then when I'm around people who would give me the new thought system, I don't share. I don't bring my fear to where it would be met with love, because my desire to look good and to look invulnerable and like I'm always cool would usually rule out. So I'd be much more concerned with how I look to you than really saying how I feel, because I don't want to seem like I'm not as enlightened as it looks like everybody else might be, or whatever. So what I'm doing right now with myself is I'm owning every ounce of my ego that I possibly can in my own personal story right now. And the more I do it, the more my heart is touched, and the more I feel the tenderness that this book is talking about. The more I pretend that I don't feel what I feel and try to always act the way I think I ought to act, then I'm out of touch with the lesson of the heart. And so I don't really learn anything, and I just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. So let's go back to the beginning right quick before we go out. Where you used to be afraid is where you're going to start experiencing love. Where you used to not be able to trust, it says that's where you're going to be able to trust. Then it was told that if it's not touching your heart, you're not getting it. And that if you still are beating yourself up about what you're going through, you're still in control, and you're still using the old thought system to deal with yourself. And then we heard you're never upset for the reason you think. You're upset because of what you've learned, and you're responding the way you learned. And there's a part of you that's still looking for somebody or something outside of you to rescue you. And whoever you're looking to rescue you, you should say, God, rescue me. God, give me another way to deal with this. God, give me another way to look at my financial situation. Everything you're looking for a person to do for you, it's not loving. You're making up a need that you think they need to meet. That's not loving. And so they're going to disappoint you because they can't do that. And then you're going to have a grievance. And then you're going to look for somebody else to meet your need. And then have a grievance with them because they don't do it. And then you're going to look for somebody else to meet your need. Then you have a grievance because they don't do it. So everything, Earl, that you attempted to ask anybody for, ask God first. And then follow your instructions after that. And be tender with yourself when you still act like a maniac. And you still act crazy. Be tender. Because what he said, what did he say we have first? He said, you know, first we have tenderness, peace, compassion. Tenderness, peace, compassion. Tenderness, peace, compassion. Tenderness, peace, compassion. All right? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, available for personal sessions.